The bright flash appeared on radar screens across Earth's defense network. At first, they thought it was a malfunction. Then more flashes appeared. Within hours, the truth became clear. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Captain Lisa Wright stood on the bridge of the Earth Space Navy vessel, Horizon, her hands clasped behind her back as she stared at the view screen. The alien ship before them was unlike anything humans had ever built. It gleamed with an inner light, its hull smooth and curved like a massive teardrop suspended in space. "Any response to our hails?" Lisa asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Yes, Captain," said Communications Officer Alan Dias. "They're transmitting in multiple Earth languages. They call themselves the Valorans." The message played through the bridge speakers. "People of Earth, we come in peace and friendship. We have watched your civilization with great interest. Your kind has overcome so many challenges. We wish to establish peaceful relations." 2 days later, Lisa led the first face-to-face meeting with the aliens. The Valorans looked almost human, except for their silvery skin and large violet eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. Their ambassador, Excelfor, bowed deeply. "Captain Wright, it is an honor to meet humanity's representatives." Lisa returned the gesture. "The honor is ours, Ambassador. Your arrival marks a historic moment for our people." As they talked, Excelfor revealed why the Valorans had finally decided to make contact. "Your world now stands at a crossroads," the ambassador explained, showing holographic images of distant star systems. "The galaxy is governed by what we call the Galactic Council, 12 species who control interstellar travel, trade, and colonization." Lisa watched as images of strange alien beings appeared in the hologram. Some looked like insects, others like reptiles. A few seemed made of living crystal. "And you're part of this council?" she asked. Excelfor's expression darkened. "No, the council limits which species can join. They believe some races are too aggressive or unpredictable." Commander Jack Nelson, the Horizon's security chief, spoke up. "And which category do they put humans in?" "They know little of you yet," Excelfor answered. "But based on their usual standards, they would likely restrict your development and expansion." Lisa frowned. "You're saying they would keep us confined to our solar system? Or worse, some species have been guided into paths the Council prefers. Their cultures altered to fit Council expectations." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "Why tell us this?" Lisa asked finally. "Why risk entering this council by contacting us?" Excelfor smiled. "Because we see in humanity something special. Your adaptability, your creativity, your determination. We believe our two species could help each other." The Valoran explained their proposal, a technology exchange and mutual protection agreement. The Valorans would share their knowledge of space travel, energy production, and medicine. In return, humans would help them stand against Council pressure. Back on Earth, the United Nations Security Council debated the offer for 3 days. Admiral Diane Miller presented the military's assessment. "The Valorans appear genuine," she reported. "Commander Nelson has concerns, but the technology they've already shared checks out. It's far beyond our capabilities, but the principles make scientific sense." President Samuel Hayes looked around the table. "And if we refuse their offer?" "Then we remain alone," Admiral Miller said simply. "And when the Council eventually notices us, we face them without allies or advanced technology." 1 week after first contact, Earth signed the Earth-Valoran Friendship Accord. As the document was broadcast worldwide, few humans realized they had just positioned themselves against the most powerful force in the galaxy. The next 5 years would change humanity forever. 5 years passed since the day humans first met the Valorans. In that short time, Earth changed more than it had in the last century. Chief Engineer Paul Garcia stood at the viewport of Harmony Station, watching Earth spin below. The massive space station orbited between Earth and its moon, a symbol of what humans and Valorans could build together. "Still admiring your handiwork?" asked Dr. Olivia Sanderson as she joined him. Paul smiled. Remember when the biggest thing we had in orbit was the old International Space Station? This place houses 10,000 people, and the medical lab just finished testing the new treatment that can cure most cancers, Olivia added. My team couldn't have done it without Valorant biotechnology. Their conversation was interrupted by an alert on Paul's tablet. They're ready to test the new shield system. Want to watch? In the testing chamber, a small model spacecraft hovered in midair. Around it, a faint blue field shimmered. This is the third test of the Garcia Cell hybrid shield system, announced a technician. Beginning weapons test now. Laser beams struck the shield. Instead of blocking the energy, the shield seemed to absorb and redirect it, causing the blue field to glow brighter. It works, Paul exclaimed. This system is 40% more efficient than pure Valorant shields. We've improved their technology. Olivia nodded. The Valorans helped us learn faster, but humans are bringing new ideas to the table. Elsewhere on the station, Colonel Ryan Blackwood reviewed battle simulations with Valoran military advisor Curvex. The holographic display showed ships maneuvering around a gas giant. Your tactics are unorthodox, Curvex observed, but effective. Ryan pointed to the simulation. Valorans think in terms of elegant, coordinated movements. Humans tend to be more unpredictable. Together, we're creating strategies neither of our species would develop alone. On the bridge, Admiral Lucy Wells received a priority transmission. Her expression darkened as she read it. Council observers again, asked her second-in-command. Lucy nodded. 3 ships this time, at the edge of the solar system. They're getting bolder. Beyond Earth, human colonies thrived on 2 planets in nearby star systems. New Washington, the largest colony with nearly 1 million inhabitants, had just celebrated its 3rd founding day. On Terra Nova, the smaller second colony, farmers harvested their first crops grown in alien soil. Back on Earth, the United Nations Space Authority headquarters buzzed with activity. Maps showed dozens of exploration missions, mining operations in the asteroid belt, and the locations of the joint Earth-Valoran Defense Fleet. President Sam Hayes met with Valoran High Chancellor Zin Vera in the Oval Office. Their meeting was friendly but serious. The Council has finally responded to our diplomatic messages, Hayes said. They're willing to send representatives to meet next month. Zin Vera's silver face showed concern. Be careful, my friend. The Council rarely negotiates in good faith with species they consider lesser. Do they consider humans lesser? Hayes asked. They consider everyone lesser, Zin Vera replied. But they find humans particularly disturbing because you learn too quickly. In 5 years, you've achieved technological progress that took other species centuries. Later that evening, back on Harmony Station, Paul and Olivia joined a celebration marking the 5th anniversary of First Contact. Humans and Valorans mingled, sharing food, music, and stories. To friendship, Hall said, raising his glass in a toast. As humans and Valorans celebrated their alliance, they didn't notice the small probe watching from a distance. The device transmitted everything back to the Council's observers. In their ship, alien eyes studied the humans with growing alarm. They developed too fast, one observer noted. And they make the Valorans stronger. The balance of power shifts. The Council must be informed, another agreed. This alliance cannot be allowed to continue. The ship turned and disappeared into faster-than-light travel, carrying its report to those who would decide the fate of 2 species. The meeting room fell silent as the hologram of Counselor Drell flickered into view. The insect-like alien's multiple eyes scanned the Earth delegation coldly. The Galactic Council has reached a decision, Drell announced, mandibles clicking between words. The technology transfer between Valorans and humans must cease immediately. Valoran High Chancellor Zin Vera stood tall beside President Hayes. On what grounds does the Council make this demand? Humans have been classified as a volatile species, Drell stated flatly. Your history of conflict makes you unsuitable for advanced technology. You require quarantine and oversight. President Hayes stepped forward. With all due respect, Counselor, Earth is a sovereign world. We have the right to form alliances as we see fit. The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of irritation. Rights are granted by the Council. You have none. After the transmission ended, the Earth leadership sat in stunned silence. They can't be serious, said Defense Secretary Joan Peters. Oh, they're serious, Zinvera replied. The Council has done this before. They isolate species they consider threats, restrict their development, sometimes even force them to regress technologically. General Frank Martinez slammed his fist on the table. We won't accept alien rule. Humanity has just begun to reach the stars. Then we must prepare, Zinvera said quietly. The Council rarely stops at words. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Kate Summers worked deep in the data archives beneath Harmony Station. As an intelligence officer, she had been tasked with analyzing Council communications intercepted by Valorant sources. Computer, cross-reference these species mentioned in historical Council records, she instructed. The computer displayed a list. Zentari, Molosians, Dreth, Carton. Now show their current status. The results made Kate's blood run cold. Extinct. 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 Near extinction. What happened to the Centauri? She asked. Destruction of homeworld following resistance to Council directives, the computer replied. Official cause. Natural disaster. Kate downloaded the data to her secure tablet and hurried to find her superior. Across the solar system, humanity quietly prepared for war. In the asteroid belt, mining operations doubled their output, but the extracted materials no longer shipped to Earth. Instead, they fed massive hidden shipyards building vessels designed by human and Valoran engineers. On Mars, General Martinez inspected the latest weapons systems with Colonel Ryan Blackwood. The prototypes performed even better than expected, Ryan reported. Garcia's shield modifications make our ships tougher than anything the Council expects from a young species. How many ships can we field if the Council decides to enforce their demands? Martins asked. About 200 combat-ready vessels within 2 weeks, maybe 300 in a month. The Valorans can add another 100 to our fleet. And the Council? Ryan's expression darkened. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands. Martinez nodded grimly. Then we need quality to overcome quantity. And surprise. In orbit around Jupiter, spy satellites detected unusual activity. 3 Council observer ships had been joined by 2 larger vessels. Their energy signatures suggested heavily armed warships. President Hayes convened an emergency meeting with Valoran leaders. Lieutenant Summers presented her findings. The Council has a pattern, she explained. When species resist Council control, disasters happen. Planets suffer plagues, asteroid impacts, or other natural catastrophes. The evidence suggests these were Council attacks disguised as accidents. Zinvera nodded sadly. We Valorans have suspected this for generations. It's why we sought alliance with Earth. Alone, neither of our species could stand against them. And together, President Hayes asked. Together, we have a chance, Zinvera replied. Humans adapt quickly. My people have deep knowledge of Council tactics. If any alliance can survive, it's ours. As they spoke, a Council fleet of 30 ships emerged from faster-than-light travel near Saturn. They made no aggressive moves, but their message was clear. That night, President Hayes addressed the people of Earth. For generations, humanity looked to the stars and wondered if we were alone. Now we know we are not. We have found friends among the stars, and enemies. But whatever comes, we will face it as we have faced every challenge in our history, together, unbowed, and unafraid. Throughout human space, people prepared for the coming storm. The Earth-Valoran Peace Summit on Mars was meant to strengthen their alliance. Over 300 Valoran diplomats, scientists, and leaders gathered with their human counterparts in the Great Dome of New Olympus City. No one expected it would become a day of horror. Communications Director Annie Foster was recording the opening ceremony when her assistant burst into the control room. "Ma'am, you need to see this. Emergency broadcast from Valora." The screen showed chaos. Massive council warships hung in the sky above the beautiful blue-green Valoran homeworld. Energy beams rained down on cities. Explosions bloomed across continents. "Get me a direct feed," Annie ordered, her hands shaking. "Record everything." As the Mars summit watched in stunned silence, the images of destruction filled the main screen. Valoran High Chancellor Zinvera collapsed to his knees. "They're killing everyone," he whispered. "Billions of my people." President Hayes rushed to his side. "Evacuate all Valorans to safety bunkers now," he shouted to security. This could be a prelude to an attack year 2. The images from Valora grew worse. Council ships methodically targeted cities, one after another. There seemed to be no military objective, just total destruction. "This isn't war," General Martinez said grimly. "It's extermination." Amy made sure every second was recorded. "Broadcasting to all Earth stations," she announced. "The people need to see what the Council really is." Valoran scientist Kurlex pushed through the chaos to reach President Hayes. "We must save what we can," he urged. "The Council will target our colony worlds next, and then yours." Before Hayes could respond, the summit building shook violently. A Council strike force had launched a surprise attack on Mars. "Get to the ships," Colonel Blackwood ordered, organizing the evacuation. "Move." As they rushed through underground tunnels to the emergency shuttles, Amy continued broadcasting with a portable camera. Her voice was steady despite the fear. "The Council has launched an unprovoked attack on both Valorans and humans," she reported. "This is not a military action. It's genocide." In orbit, the small defense fleet fought desperately against the Council attackers. Captain Lisa Wright's ship, the Horizon, took heavy damage while covering the escaping shuttles. "Engine room, we need more power to the shields," she shouted over the alarms. "Captain, incoming transmission from the Council flagship," her communications officer reported. The face of Admiral Zox, a Reptilian Council commander, appeared on screen. "Surrender and prepare for occupation. Your alliance with the Valorans is terminated." Lisa's response was brief. "Go to hell." She cut the transmission. Back on Earth, emergency sessions of government convened as news of the attack spread. Images from Valora played on every screen worldwide. Humans watched in horror as an entire civilization was being wiped out. The few shuttles that escaped Mars brought the surviving Valorans to Earth. Among them was Kurlex, clutching a small data crystal. "This contains our history, our science, our culture," he told President Hayes when they reached the emergency command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. "If no other Valorans survive, at least our knowledge will." 3 days after the attack began, the Council issued a galaxy-wide announcement. "The regrettable but necessary pacification of the Valoran species has been completed. Their dangerous influence and unsanctioned technological proliferation represented a grave threat to galactic stability." The message continued. "Earth is hereby ordered to surrender all Valoran technology and submit to Council oversight. Compliance is mandatory. You have 7 standard days to respond." In the command center, President Hayes looked at the faces around him. Human generals and scientists, the few surviving Valoran leaders. Their expressions showed shock, grief, and growing anger. Hayes stood tall as cameras recorded his response to broadcast throughout human space. "Humanity rejects the Council's demands," he declared. "We have witnessed your true nature. The Valorans came to us in friendship, and we will not abandon them now. Earth stands with our allies, the living and the dead. And I promise you this, what you have done will not go unanswered." Across Earth and its colonies, the human race prepared for war. Deep under the Rocky Mountains, what had once been a nuclear shelter was now the heart of Earth's war effort. Admiral Steve Harrison studied the holographic display showing Earth's defenses. The situation looked grim. We have 57 combat-ready ships, he reported to President Hayes. The Council has thousands. Kurlex, one of the few surviving Valorant scientists, stepped forward. Numbers aren't everything. The Council thinks you're primitive. They don't expect what we're preparing. Dr. Kevin Matthews nodded in agreement. He had been working with Kurlex day and night since the massacre. We've combined Valorant energy technology with human weapons design. The results are promising. He activated a smaller hologram showing a new weapon. We call it the Sunflare. It can burn through Council shields by adapting to their frequency. How many can we build in 7 days? Hayes asked. Maybe enough for 20 ships, Kevin answered. But we need more time. Admiral Harrison pointed to the display. Then we need to buy time. Commander Phillips has been running raids on Council outposts. Hit-and-run attacks to gather intelligence and keep them off balance. In space, Commander Doug Phillips guided his small squad of stealth fighters toward a Council communication relay. His ships were painted black, with special materials that absorbed sensor scans. Remember, this is about information, not destruction, he told his pilots. Get in, download their data, plant the virus, and get out. His second-in-command, Lieutenant John Reed, responded, Copy that. Though I wouldn't mind destroying something after what they did to Valora. You'll get your chance soon enough, Doug promised. Their mission was successful. The virus would feed false information to Council forces while secretly transmitting their communications to Earth. Back on Earth, preparations accelerated. In the asteroid belt, mining stations had been converted to shipyards. Workers labored around the clock, building new vessels using plans that combined human and Valorant designs. Laura Reeves, a smuggler who had traded with alien species for years, returned from a dangerous mission beyond Council territory. She met with military intelligence in a secure room. Some Council species aren't happy with the massacre, she reported. The Xendarians think it went too far. The Praxians are worried Earth might actually win this fight. They're watching and waiting. Can any of them help us? Asked the intelligence officer. Laura shrugged. Not openly, but they've shared some interesting technical data. She handed over a small data crystal. Shield frequencies, patrol routes, command codes. Could be useful. Meanwhile, surviving Valorant ships integrated with Earth's defense fleet. The aliens' advanced vessels looked strange next to human ships, but together they'd formed a more powerful force. Kurlex worked with human engineers to install the new Sunflare weapons. The Council believes they've won already, he told them. They think destroying our homeworld broke us. They're wrong. One Valorant ship captain, Velinor, shared tactical data with Admiral Harrison. The Council divides its forces by sector. They've only sent their 7th Fleet to deal with Earth. It's an insult. They think you're not worth more attention. Harrison smiled grimly. That's their first mistake. President Hayes toured a weapons factory where thousands of civilians now worked producing components for the war effort. Earth had not seen such mobilization since the world wars of the 20th century. How are the people holding up? He asked the factory manager. They're angry, sir. The videos of Valora burning. No one will forget that. Everyone has a friend or neighbor who's Valorant now. This isn't just their fight anymore. It's ours too. On the 6th day after the Council's ultimatum, President Hayes addressed Earth's forces. His voice was broadcast to every ship, base, and colony. Tomorrow, the Council expects our surrender. They believe that by showing us their power, they've broken our will to fight. He paused, looking at the camera. They don't understand humans very well, do they? Across the solar system, soldiers, pilots, and civilians listened. Humanity has faced extinction before, from nature, from disease, from our own weapons. Each time, we survived. We adapted. We overcame. His voice grew stronger. Now we face it again. But this time, we're not alone. And this time, we fight not just for ourselves, but for justice. In orbit, On ships, in bases, humans and Valorans prepared for battle. The next day would bring not surrender, but Earth's first strike. The Council flagship Eternal Dominion orbited Jupiter, waiting for Earth's surrender. Admiral Sox stood on the command deck, mandibles clicking in satisfaction. "The deadline expires in 1 hour," he told his officers. "Prepare boarding parties for their orbital stations. The humans will serve as an example to other primitive species." "Admiral, we're detecting energy signatures," his sensor officer reported suddenly. "Multiple ships approaching." Zox laughed. "Their pathetic fleet comes to surrender in person. Put it on screen." The screen remained empty despite showing multiple contacts approaching. "Where are they?" Sox demanded. "Enhanced sensors. We can't detect them visually," the confused officer replied. "But something is definitely there." In the darkness of space, Captain Heather Grant led Earth's Vanguard fleet. Her ships used a hybrid cloaking technology developed from Valoran stealth systems and human radar-absorbing materials. "All ships maintain formation," she ordered quietly, though there was no sound in space. "Remember your targets. The Council doesn't know we can see through their shields." The Earth ships moved silently toward the unsuspecting Council fleet. Each vessel carried the new Sunflare weapons and was piloted by crews who had trained day and night for this moment. "Weapons range in 30 seconds, Heather's tactical officer reported. Back on Earth, systems analyst Eric Howard sat in a dimly lit room surrounded by computers. For weeks, he had studied the Council's network from data gathered by Commander Phillips' raids. "Beginning Phase 1, he announced to the team around him. His fingers flew across the keyboard as he activated a program that would slip into the Council's defensive network. On 7 Council ships, alert systems suddenly failed. On others, sensors showed phantom targets in the wrong locations. "Now," Captain Grant ordered. 20 Earth ships decloaked simultaneously, each targeting a Council vessel. The Sunflare weapons fired, their energy beams shifting frequency to penetrate Council shields. Explosions bloomed in space as the surprised Council ships took devastating hits. At the same moment, in 7 star systems across Council space, similar attacks began. Earth and Valoran forces struck military bases, shipyards, and command centers. Each target had been carefully chosen based on intelligence from Laura Reeves and Valoran knowledge. On the Council homeworld, the ruling members watched in shock as reports flooded in. "Impossible," shouted Councillor Drell. "How could primitives coordinate such attacks?" Admiral Zox's ship rocked violently as sunflare beams cut through its hull. "Return fire," he screamed. "Destroy them all." But his weapons couldn't lock onto the Earth ships, which cloaked between shots and reappeared in different positions. Major Nickel Jordan led a team of Marines in armored spacesuits as they boarded the damaged Council command vessel. Their suits, designed with Valoran help, protected them from both weapons fire and the vacuum of space. "Remember the plan," she told her team through the comm. "We need their command codes and battle plans. Take prisoners when possible." The human soldiers moved through the alien ship with practiced precision. Council security forces fell back, unprepared for the ferocity and skill of the human attackers. Nickel reached the ship's command center and secured it quickly. "Bridge taken," she reported. "Downloading data now." Across the galaxy, news of the attacks spread rapidly. Council member species who had quietly disapproved of the Valoran massacre watched with growing concern. The humans were supposed to be primitive, easy to control. Instead, they fought with unexpected technology and tactics. These humans combine Valoran precision with unpredictable battle strategies, reported a Xandarian observer. "They don't fight like any species we've encountered before." Captain Grant's voice came through clear on all human and Valoran communication channels. "First wave successful. All ships, execute jump to secondary targets." The Earth ships vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving damaged and destroyed Council vessels behind. Before they could regroup, the human fleet appeared at their next targets. Amy Foster, who had recorded the Valoran massacre, now broadcast a different message to all intelligent species in the galaxy. It showed the Council's attack on Valora alongside footage of Earth's counterattack. The Council claimed to bring peace and order, her voice narrated, but they brought only destruction to those who sought independence. Today, humanity answers their brutality, not with surrender, but with justice. On the Council homeworld, the rulers faced an uncomfortable truth. The supposedly primitive humans were fighting back, and they were winning. 1 month after Earth's first strikes, the galaxy had changed forever. The Council chamber, once a place of unquestioned power, now echoed with angry voices. "You promised the humans would be easily defeated," shouted the Xandarian representative. "Instead, they've destroyed a third of our military forces." Councillor Drell's mandibles clicked nervously. The humans were supposed to be primitive. We didn't expect them to master Valoran technology so quickly. "And now 5 member species have called for peace talks," added another council member. "Our unity is breaking." The doors burst open as Admiral Zox entered, his scales pale with stress. "The humans have taken the Centauri Gate. They can now strike directly at core Council worlds." Fears swept through the chamber. In Earth's military headquarters, Admiral Taylor Bennett studied the latest battle reports. Their strategy was working. Earth and Valoran forces had captured key points in the Council's transportation network, allowing them to strike anywhere. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission," said his communications officer. "It's from the Praxians. They want to discuss peace terms." Taylor nodded. "Put them through to the President's office. This is political now." President Hayes met with representatives from 7 Council species who had secretly opposed the Valoran massacre. Their message was clear. They wanted peace and were willing to break from the Council leadership. "We've watched your broadcasts," said the Praxian diplomat. "The evidence of Council crimes is undeniable. We never approved the genocide of the Valorans." Hayes looked at them steadily. "Yet you did nothing to stop it." The aliens looked down in shame. "We feared the Council's power," admitted the Xandarian. "As you humans say, that is no excuse." "What do you propose?" Hayes asked. "A new galactic compact," answered the Praxian, "with Earth and the surviving Valorans as founding members. Equal rights for all species. No more Council supremacy." Before Hayes could respond, alarms blared. The hardline Council leaders had launched a desperate final attack against Earth. "They're throwing everything they have left at us," reported General Martinez. 300 ships approaching. Admiral Bennett's voice came over the comm. "All fleet vessels, move to defensive positions. This is what we prepared for." The combined Earth-Valoran fleet met the Council armada near the orbit of Mars. The Council ships were larger and more numerous, but Earth had surprise on their side once again. From the asteroid belt, hundreds of small fighter craft emerged. These were the secret weapons Earth had been building, piloted by humans and Valorans who had trained together for this moment. "All wings, attack pattern Sigma," ordered Admiral Bennett from his flagship. The fighters swarmed the Council vessels, while larger Earth ships engaged from multiple angles. The Council commanders, expecting a traditional battle, found themselves facing human unpredictability combined with Valoran precision. On Earth, people watched the battle through live feeds. In homes, schools, and public spaces, humans and Valoran refugees stood together, hoping for victory. 6 hours later, it was over. The Council fleet was destroyed or captured. Earth had won. 3 months later, representatives from 32 species gathered on Luna for the signing of the new Galactic Compact. Where once the Council had ruled through fear, now a new alliance would govern through cooperation. The architects of the Valoran genocide faced trial for their crimes. Councillor Drell and Admiral Zox were among those sentenced to life imprisonment on a remote asteroid. Lieutenant Carl Hernandez led the humanitarian mission to help Valoran refugees settle on a new homeworld. The planet, named New Valora, would never replace what was lost, but offered a fresh start. On Earth, a great monument rose on the plains outside the old United Nations building. It showed a human and a Valoran standing together, looking toward the stars. The inscription read, "To friendship found among the stars, and to those who gave everything to defend it." President Hayes and Kurlex, now the leader of the Valoran survivors, stood before the monument on its dedication day. "We lost so much," Kurlex said quietly. "My homeworld, billions of my people. Yet something new was born from that tragedy." Hayes nodded. "Humans always wondered if we would find friends among the stars. We never imagined we would find such good ones." As they spoke, ships from a dozen species arrived in Earth orbit, bringing ambassadors and traders. Earth was no longer alone in the universe. It had found its place among the stars, not as a conquered world, but as a defender of justice. Above them, the stars beckoned. And this time, humanity and their allies would explore them together, in peace.